Gotta look pretty. All right.
Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here.
And you're watching our fellow Iowan, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad.
Now for the intro. What is going on, YouTube? It is an amazing day, making videos, recording stuff, and you know what? Generation Pixel has sent out a video challenge, you know I love those challenge, asking what is the golden years of your life, basically with pop culture. What is your favorite video game? What is your favorite album, music album? What is your favorite movie in 1 year? And go ahead and talk about it to your heart's desire, guys. And you know what? It took me way too long of looking up stuff, trying to remember exactly what came out when. Oh, well, this game came out that year, but there's really no movies from that year that I liked, you know, and the whole shebangy, man. We were just looking over everything. And you know what? I think I said, you know what, a lot too many times, and I can't speak now because I am pumped. So here's my choices, and I'm going to go with the good old year of 1997. So I want you guys who were alive then and have memories of then to go back. And some of you already probably know the one game I'm probably going to pick. Obviously, I'm a huge RPG fan and stuff like that, so let's put ourselves in the right state of mind, guys. 1997. Alright guys, so let's start off with the one thing that everybody knows, or a lot of you will probably pick, and I have to go with in 1997, my golden year video game was Final Fantasy VII. I don't want to go, I can make this video very long just talking about the good old days with all this stuff. Basically, I was introduced to Final Fantasy VII through a couple buddies. I was in, I believe 4th grade then, and I basically dubbed RPGs being the reason why I turned into such a nerd and started liking to read books and stuff, because I got so engrossed in the story, so engrossed in the strategy of it and stuff like that, that it really, I found my click, you know. And Final Fantasy VII was one of the first real games, RPGs, besides Mystic Quest on Super Nintendo, that I got into. And I just remember being so into the story, so into everything that went on, and being that young was kind of hard for me to understand the battle and stuff like that. So I remember at one point I had every time I got a new character, I used the crap out of them just because it was a new character. So I remember at one point I had Kate Sith and Nibelum or whatever, and we were fighting the big scorpion thing or spider thing, and God, and I just remember he had all my summons, literally all my summons he was holding on to, and I told my buddy the one day, I'm like, I'm stuck, I can't beat this boss. He's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I got so-and-so with all the summons. He's like, he's got all the summons? I'm like, yeah, he's got all the summons. He's like, no, I'll spread the summons out, man. And as a kid, I was so engrossed with that game for 2 years, and I never beat it because I did not understand materia and stuff like that. Like, I was just equipped better weapons and stuff like that, and I didn't understand like what added effects did and what all that stuff was, and I just never beat the game until I was an actual adult and I understood that stuff. And I remember spending hours trying to breed a gold chocobo because I wanted to get Knights of the Round so freaking bad, but I did not know exactly how to do it. So I was trying to get a black male chocobo, but you can't, there's only females. So I breeded for hours trying to get a black one because I thought, you know, logically you'd take a black female and a black male in my child mind, and that would make the best, you know, one in the game. Didn't come find out till later on that you needed a wonderful chocobo, a regular yellow one, and then a black female, and then there you go. So that was my favorite game. I still love the story. I have not played the remake because unfortunately I do not have a PS4. Someday maybe. I'm hoping that, you know, hopefully it gets released on Steam or PC or something like that. Or for some dumb reason down the road, maybe Xbox will get it or something, and I can finally play it. But I was the game was so amazing. You know, being a kid at that age, spending that many hours in one thing was insane. All my friends did, you know, besides the 2 friends that played it, all my other friends were just like, "You're crazy. Why do you like this game? Why aren't you playing like Crash Bandicoot or stuff like that all the time?" And I was just like, "I don't know, man. I really like Final Fantasy VII." Then I come to find out later on that a lot of my other friends had the game too. They were just too ashamed to talk about it. And it happens a lot, guys. A lot of times, I remember my one buddy called me nerd and stuff like that because I liked that game. And I go over to his house one day and he's playing freaking Zelda, Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. I go, "What are you doing, man?" And he's just like, "Oh, I'm playing some Zelda." I'm like, "What are you, nerd?" And he's just like, "Why?" All right, so moving on. Let's get that musical album out of the way. So I have it back behind me because I had to search. I didn't know if this was, if we had to be like, this was the golden year of your life then. Like, should I had to put myself in that complete state of mind then? If that was so, in 1997, the one thing that I was into, and I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to, you know, do whatever. I was really into boy bands at that age. A lot of us at younger ages are really into the pop music and stuff like that. Well, Backstreet Boys were huge in 1997, and I remember being really into boy bands, being really into all that other stuff. So my album that I chose, if I wanted to be in that state of mind, was Backstreet Boys, Backstreet's Back. So you got to remember that I was at this, like I said, at this age, approximately, I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. See, 97, I would have been 10. Yeah, because I was born in 87. So this was 1997. So yeah, that was my jam, man. And I knew all the songs, you know, As Long As You Love Me, Everybody, Backstreet's Back, and yeah, that was my, you know, and I think that was also the same year that 98 Degrees and a few other ones came out too that I was really into, and NSYNC and stuff like that. I was trying to think, but that was also the year too. I can tell you from memory, just from looking at this album, just remembering that. But that was also the year that Columbia House CDs and stuff was getting kind of huge again. And I remember my dad signing up for it online, and he's like, "Hey, come over here and pick some CDs that you might like." And I'm like, "Okay, you know, you pick like 9 CDs for a penny, you know." So I picked a bunch of albums, and I got like 98 Degrees and freaking Backstreet Boys and all these other ones, and I got a bunch of them, and it was really freaking awesome. And then I remember for Christmas that year, I got a nice stereo. So then I had the stereo for my bedroom, and I could just jam out to the boy bands. My dad was probably shaking his head back then because he was listening to, like, you know, like Rob Zombie, White Zombie, you know, Motley Crue and stuff like that. Which is that's actually what I listen to now. So I mean, it took a real turn for it. But yeah, if I had to go with an album, I'd definitely have to go with Backstreet Boys, Backstreet's Back. Now, lastly, so this was kind of a hard one for me. Now, I didn't want to. I think Generation Pixel himself or somebody did 97, I think, and they did Final Fantasy VII, I believe. So then I think they also almost picked. I almost picked the other movie that they were into, which was The Fifth Element. I still remember The Fifth Element. It's still one of my favorite movies of all time. But I wanted to do something different. So while I was browsing 1997, I came across one movie that I really, really loved. And there was a couple other things. Now, as a runner-up back thing, I don't even know if that's a freaking real word, man. But in 1997, too, I did see that they did re-release the old Star Wars movies, special editions. I think when they added all those CGI and the extra stuff into it. And then that was released. And I do have the VHSs somewhere for that, too. But I had to go with The Saint. It was Val Kilmer. Now, this was a good movie back then that I enjoyed. I was really into that, and I also think that year, I don't know, but I might have to double check it. but I think Batman and Robin also came out that year. Yep, June 20th, 1997. So that was another one that I was really gonna pick too. I know it's a crappy one, but I remember also my dad taking me to see that in theaters and really being into Batman. And you know, at that age, I really loved those movies. So it was, yeah. And then growing up, just The Saint was a better movie. Or, you know, I watched The Saint probably more than I have seen Batman and Robin. But definitely not more than I've seen The Fifth Element. I still watch that maybe once every 2 years. Super green, Corbin. Super green. But I went with The Saint. Now, for all of you that don't know, it's kind of, I don't know if I want to say cliche, but kid is raised in an orphanage, doesn't have any parents, ends up, you know, just having a knack for like spy stuff, like lock picking and stuff like that. And at this orphanage, they were all given saint names or something similar to saint names. And then it just kind of was, it was a very Christian based, or I want to say Christian or whatever religion that was, but they all got saint names, you know. So he tries to be with this girl, and then she ends up something happens to her, and then he goes on his life just basically doing all this spy stuff. And then he always uses when he makes his characters, it's kind of like a hitman, where he changes characters and stuff like that, but he bases most of his characters on saints, their personalities and stuff like that. So he's this really awesome spy, and the whole movie, the whole process of the movie, he is trying to, in this one, do jobs for people, make a bunch of money. He's trying to, you know, get a bunch of money milled up, and then he's gonna get out of the game, you know, basically, and just go off and relax. Well, of course, he's on his last mission. This is the last one to build up enough money that he can retire. And of course, stuff goes wrong. He falls in love with, I think, Elizabeth's shoes in it, and you know, stuff like in it. I don't want to ruin it too much, but if you guys have not seen that movie, you need to see it. It's very good. But that's what I got, guys. I had to pick Final Fantasy VII, Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys, and The Saint, 1997. That was one of my golden years. Thank you, Generation Pixel, for this awesome challenge video. If you guys have not, go check out his channel. I'll have the link to it in the description below. And tell me down below in the comments what you guys think. And also make sure when you go down below there, to check the description, make sure you check out all the other great videos that I have released or linked, whatever you want to call it, below. And check them out, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being amazing. Positivity never killed anybody. Optimistically not. Yeah, I said that.